Terrika Foster-Brasby. Welcome to NBC Sports. Thank you for being here with me today in our studio in Stamford. Listen, we have so much to get into because it was such an exciting day of the WNBA playoffs. All the teams played, all 8 teams, and I was in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun.
Thank you for, coming over to my world.
Yes, I did come over to your world. So, of course, we're going to start with the team that you cover. The team that won the game yesterday.
Yeah.
It was the 3 p.m. game, so it was kind of the main, the big game.
Yeah.
The one all eyes were on for a variety of reasons, but largely because it was Caitlin Clark's first playoff game.
Yeah. Let me tell you, first off, this building was electric because I honestly could not tell at times, as I knew this was going to be the case, whether or not Connecticut was doing well or whether or not Indiana was doing well, because Indiana fans travel incredibly well. So at any given point, any given time, as you know, at the beginning of that matchup, it was actually kind of neck and neck.
Yeah.
You really couldn't tell who was doing what because the crowd was so into it. But Connecticut found a way to make sure that their crowd dominated because they put on a dominant performance. I was like, listen, y'all, Connecticut did not mess around. Like, they made it very clear that they were in it to win it. And the domination on the defensive end is really what told the story.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, and I asked Steph White about this after the game. I was expecting to see Dejanay Carrington guarding Caitlin Clark, and normally something happens and then there's adjustments, but she made the adjustment ahead of the game, and I'm guessing that's because in the last matchup between those two teams before the playoffs, the Connecticut Sun lost. And so this time she put DeWanna Bonner on Caitlin Clark. I thought the length really bothered Caitlin, and she didn't shoot well. And, there was a lot of talk around her shooting. She had, her assists were good. She had, 8 assists, 11 points, but 4 of 17 shooting, So uncharacteristic for Clark. I do think the length was bothering her. But look, Kelsey Mitchell said their confidence does not waver, and she looks forward to Wednesday. Caitlin Clark expressed the same sentiment. She's like, look, we can win. She thought like they got open looks, and they did.
Yeah.
There were just some looks that they didn't knock down. So that's what you want to hear them expressing. I wouldn't, expect otherwise.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, I think, the performance a lot of people were hoping for to see from Caitlin Clark in her first playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back 4 months ago, this was a very similar performance that we saw in the very first game in her rookie season. Connecticut does that to a lot of people. So it really doesn't matter how good you are or how good you think you are. When you're playing against Connecticut, you're playing against the top defense in the league. You are playing against a team that holds teams to their lowest scoring, who holds teams to their lowest rebounding effort. They know how to really get in there and shake it up. And it's really a testament to how well Connecticut plays defensively that you can actually make those types of switches and adjustments and it does not waver. Like the assignment is understood regardless of who it is that's putting it down. So that's number one. Number two, I think because of how well this Indiana team has played coming into this moment, we have forgotten that this is still a young team. Kelsey Mitchell has been on that team for 7 years, and this is still her first postseason appearance. So there is still amount of youth that comes along against playing a veteran team that has quite literally been in the semifinals or finals over the last 5 years. And Alyssa Thomas said it post-game, we've been waiting for the playoffs.
Yes,
we are waiting to get to this moment. They knew and understood the assignment. And so they also knew that there were going to be a lot of eyes on this game because they were playing Indiana and Caitlin Clark. And they look forward to that because they know about the disrespect with the CT at the end. The disrespect is real. They still feel it. They still don't get the time and attention. And instead of barking about it, they just instead go out and put on a huge defensive effort. Alyssa Thomas still comes through, knocks down a triple-double, doesn't even realize she had a triple-double.
She did.
And if I can make this point, how incredible is that trade now that happened right before All-Star with Marina Mabrey? Because unfortunately, we saw Ty Harris go down very early in that matchup, and that was a scary scene, right? Ty is very durable. Not seeing her walk off, not being able to put pressure on that ankle, that was very scary. But to Connecticut's credit, they had someone named Marina Mabrey who could come off the bench, who had started in Chicago, started in Dallas, really is asked to do nothing but show up and shoot, right? She was able to come in and flawlessly fill in that role for Ty, and they didn't miss a beat. And by the way, I'll just drop 27 points while I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, Marina Mabrey was amazing yesterday. 27 points off the bench. That's the most coming off the bench in a postseason game. So that's pretty tremendous for her to just come in and be able to do that. She really stole the show. And look here, Alyssa Thomas also, again, with another triple-double. I think we just sort of take these for granted now because they come for her so easily. Just a tremendous performance because the game was sort of even throughout the first half. And then in that second half, the Connecticut Sun just went to another gear. And, you know, I'm arguably one of the people who have disrespected them because I said,
Glad you admit it, Natalie.
I said, look, Indiana Fever could upset them. They may want to make a business decision and maybe, you know, because they had a chance to drop to 4. They would have still had home court advantage, but they would be seeing the Seattle Storm instead. But they did not care about that. They won their final season game, and they had an excellent game plan for the Fever, and it was great. And, you know, we talked about DeWanna Bonner earlier guarding Caitlin Clark, but she also had 22 points. So she guarded 22, and she also had 22 points. A little poetic justice. I mean, she had an amazing game, 7 for 11, 2 of 3 from the three-point line, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. She was a plus 22, Terrika. I mean, that's an amazing stat line.
It is an amazing stat line, and I will also say this was huge for DeWanna's confidence. Not that she necessarily needed. She is a 15-year vet. She is a WNBA champion. She knows what it means to win and play in big moments. But over the last couple of weeks, DeWanna had not been able to contribute offensively in the way that she typically contributes, right? And I know I even asked Stephanie White, you know, how do you teach a vet? How do you get a vet going? And she's like, every time DeWanna throws the ball up, I think that it's going to go through the hoop. I need DeWanna to begin to think again that every time she tosses the ball up, it's going to go through the hoop. So I knew that there were moments where she were having these, you know, these challenges, these struggles offensively. And DeWanna's a pro, right? So she finds ways to impact the game in other ways when the ball's not going through for her. But I think having a game like she had yesterday, where she was able to literally make the ball fall, play hard defensively, get out in transition, like those were things that necessarily you need to have. This Connecticut team has struggled offensively. Like they've won games, but they have not really been able to outscore other people when it comes down to it. And the way that they do that is to continue to get big plays out of Marina Mabrey, to continue to get big plays out of DiJonai Carrington, but you absolutely have to have DeWanna Bonner scoring. And I think that is what really makes this Connecticut team a dangerous team. If DB is hitting threes and she's giving you 22 points, Connecticut can get to the finals. Absolutely can get to the finals.
Okay, so let's look ahead to the next game because with the WNBA, the first round is a little different in that it's only 3 games. The first 2 games go to the team in terms of the way they played that have home court advantage. So the next game will also be in Connecticut. This is an elimination game already. If the Fever do not win that game, that's it. Their season is over. What do you expect to see in that next game?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nat, and honestly, I mean, these are still professionals, right? Indiana is 100% going to make adjustments. I think they're going to try to find a way to guard the perimeter better. And there had been no one coming into this matchup that had done that for them better than Lexie Hull. So I believe that Caitlin Clark will probably not go 4 of 17 again. She's going to try to find a way to be more active on the outside. She's going to try to find a way to be a better scorer. But I will also say she has to get back in this matchup if they want a chance at winning to doing what she had done best over the last 3 weeks. And that is passing and facilitating. This team played incredibly well with this up-tempo offense when she was getting the ball out, letting Kelsey Mitchell cook, creating space, which leaves opportunity for Aaliyah and Alyssa. She was doing that, and this team was flourishing. They went away from that on Sunday. So Wednesday, you got to get back to what had become your offensive identity. It's crazy to say it, but allow everyone else except Marina Mabrey to try to shoot from outside. Just try it. It doesn't always work, right? This is not the highest three-point percentage team in Connecticut. They were hot on Wednesday. See if they're that hot again. You have the ability to defend. You can stop them if you want to. You've done it. You did it in the last home game, which is a difference too. Indiana plays different when they're playing in Gainbridge Fieldhouse than when they're playing on the road. So I understand the crowd and all the energy is a bit different, but you've proven to yourself already that you do know how to defend a against this team. You got to get back to that if you want to stand a chance to win. The problem that I see is that I think Connecticut is on a mission, and I don't know if even with the adjustments that Indiana may make, if it will be enough to get them a win. You do not want to go back to Indiana, and Connecticut has a habit of this. Over the last 2 years, they have messed around and dropped game 2 and have had to go to an elimination game. They did it against Minnesota. They did it against Dallas in 2022. You don't want to fall into that trap again. So you got to take care of business at Mohegan.
Yeah, I'd like to think Connecticut Sun's defense had a little to do with why they couldn't operate the way that they normally do. One thing I think I would maybe want to see is Caitlin maybe try to go at Marina a little bit more. When she did have a little bit of success, the shot fell a little in the third quarter, and even in the past matchups, she's been able to do that, on Marina. So maybe it's target her a little bit. Maybe if they can get a switch so Marina's on her.
This is a physical game, though, and this is a physical team. You coming at anybody down there. You have better be ready for what's happening to you, because they will put it on anybody defensively. It is physical.
For sure. But I just think the way that offense opens up is through Caitlin Clark. Yeah. So they have to find, a way. Listen, I'm so looking forward to the next game. Same. I will be there on Wednesday. But you know what? I'm also going to stop by New York on Tuesday because I was not able to show the Liberty and Dream any love yesterday. Mm-hmm. The New York Liberty handled business.
Handled it.
No problem at all. And so I don't think there's much to say there. I think most people going into that series expected the Liberty to win and to sort of dominate. Look here. Leonie Fevich, she's going to be all rookie team. But sure. She was great. 21 points, 2 steals, 1 rebound. She got the start, right? And then this was just like a group effort here. Sabrina, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. It's very balanced effort, better shooting for her. She's been struggling a little bit to close out the scene. Brianna Stewart with 20 points, Benaja Laney, Hamilton with 10 points. Just a well-balanced effort all around from their starting cast.
It really was. Leonie Fevich was absolutely the surprise coming out of this matchup. But what I will also say, and right as we were just finishing talking about Connecticut, Courtney Vandersloot coming off the bench, right? I think it speaks a lot to your organization and to you as a player when you are willing to take a backseat for someone else. And I say mentioning Connecticut because we saw it a few weeks ago with DeWanna Bonner taking a backseat to allow Marina Mabry to get a start. I think it was very smart of Sandy Brondello to make this kind of adjustment early on, and for Courtney Vandersloot to just go ahead and roll with it. And I know that there were moments where it felt like maybe the media made a bigger deal about it than they actually did, but realistically, it was a very smart thing to do. And Sloot was like, hey, this is an adjustment for me. I'm not necessarily coming off the bench, regularly, but it was not an adjustment for Leonie Fevich. Right. She had to do it many times over the season due to Courtney Vandersloot being out for personal reasons, injuries. Yep. She was ready for the moment. I just think that she is going to continue to be the person that makes the difference, the impact, the X factor for this Liberty team. I'm not saying to sleep on the dream. I am just saying I don't know if there are any adjustments that you can make that will make a difference. And it is no disrespect, none intended, because them to have really pulled it away in the end to even get the 8 seed is incredible. Yeah. But I just don't know, just given how that New York team looked. And Tanisha Wright said it. She said, they came out and punched us in the mouth. Yeah, they did. Well, so I don't know what other adjustments you can actually make that will make the difference, because New York is just truly running like a team, firing on all cylinders. And I think they took it personal when Kelsey said last season they don't like each other.
Oh, they did. They
took that personal, and they have really worked, to me, on their chemistry. Yeah. You can see that.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they end up seeing the Aces in the next round, then we can see whose team has more chemistry. But, I think they also did not love the way they finished the season by letting Atlanta come in and beat them the way they did. The bench came in and sort of made it a respectable game, but I don't think they liked the way that final game went down. So I don't think Atlanta had a chance in that first game. I'm not sure if they have a chance in that series. I don't want to end up on the Summer Jam screen because I know
you're going to be bulletin board material on Tuesday.
I know yesterday at the Sun game, they were calling out the media who said that the Sun would be swept, but I do think this is going to be a sweep. congratulations to the Dream after the season that they had making it there, but I think the Liberty will be moving on to the next round.
Bulletin board material.
All right. Well, look, we have some other games to get to, so we're going to wrap up this here. But Terrika, I'm so excited for the rest of these playoffs.